Hello, welcome back to Math with Mr. Hengst. In today's lesson, we'll be going over how to subtract integers. I highly suggest if you have not seen my previous video or if you do not have the understanding of adding integers, you should go back to that last video before you try to dive into this, because it's very crucial that we know how to add integers when subtracting. So without further ado, let's get into this video and understand how to subtract integers. Okay, so to start this lesson, we are going to do 5 minus 2. This is a basic subtraction problem that we know the answer to. This is something we've learned long ago, right? 5 minus 2 will get us 3, okay? So the reasoning for me writing this is so we can go back and relearn what subtraction really means, right? Subtraction, when I did this problem, I had 5, right? If we bring in real world examples, I had $5, you take away $2, now you have $3. Keyword, take away. Okay, this is something we are going to need to understand to get a better grasp on that. It's not minus, right? Or it is minus, but the real meaning of subtraction or minus, right, is to take away something. So let's go back to the same problem, but we are going to make it a little different. Instead of 5 minus 2, I'm going to make it 5 minus negative 2. Okay? What does the minus mean? It means take away, right? So we have 5 and we need to take away negative 2. So how would we do that? This is where knowing how to add integers comes to play. So up here I have, again, orange circles are going to represent positives, purple circles are going to represent negative numbers. This is how I'm going to do it. So let's draw our model out. When we have 5 positives, that's 5 orange circles, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here, it represents 5, okay? Then let's go, we need to take away now, right? Minus, right? We're not adding right now. We're going to subtract negative 2. So that's 2 purple circles. Okay, so how am I going to do that? When we don't, on the left side, we do not have any purple circles to take away. We're going to bring in our 0 pairs that we spoke about in the last lesson. Just a review, it's when you have 1 positive and 1 negative. So maybe up here, this would be a 0 pair. Why? Because if you have these two together, it equals 0. They cancel each other out. So to get us 2 negatives, I'm going to add 2 0 pairs. This is going to be the same thing as 5 plus 0 plus 0. We still have 5, correct? So we are allowed to do that, right? I know this is confusing because questions I get all the time is how do you just add them, right? We still have the same number by doing this. By adding these 2 0 pairs, this still, all these colors, even though we have purple in here now, if you cross out a purple or pair the purple and the orange, cross them out, right? We still got 5. All right, now we just have it written a little different. We put some negatives in there to make sure we could take them away right here. So now we have 2 negatives to take away. All right, so I'm going to take away 1 purple here, 1 purple here. Right, now we subtracted negative 2 from positive 5. What do we have left over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're orange, so it's positives. So now our answer is positive 7 for that question. 5 minus negative 2 equals positive 7. Okay? Now that we learned how to do this, maybe this isn't working for you, right? Maybe drawing these pictures out, adding the 0 pairs, we just cannot really comprehend that. We don't understand why that is happening. So I'm going to show you another method to help you with subtraction. Subtracting integers, sorry. So let's go ahead and get into that. If you do like this method, go ahead and use it. But again, just like adding integers, once these numbers get bigger, it may be a little harder to draw all these circles because you're not going to want to draw 30 circles and then 20 negatives and then 20 negative pairs. You know, 20 0 pairs. So I'm gonna give you another method that's quick, easy, and I think is the best method to approach subtracting integers. All right, so the next strategy I'm going to use to approach subtracting integers is called keep, add, opposite. Okay, this will always work when you're subtracting integers. Okay, so, and I'll write it over here to the side. So we're gonna K for keep, A is for add, O for opposite. So with our prior knowledge from Unit 1 so far, we're going to be able to apply this. So let's go ahead and apply this to this, because we already did 5 minus -2. We know the answer from the last method. So let's see if we can do this method and get the same answer. Right? So first step is keep. That first number, you are going to keep it. All right? I would highly suggest writing what I write, the letters above, each number or each thing, each step. I would highly suggest doing that, all right? Because you cannot mess up when you do that. So if you do keep, add, opposite, let's get into it. I'm gonna write in a different color so you can see it better. So keep the 5. We're gonna keep it the same. Positive 5. Change subtraction to addition. So now we're adding, right? Now we're adding instead of subtracting. The opposite of -2. So what is the opposite of -2? It would be +2. If you said +2, that is correct, right? And now we got a simple addition problem. This is stuff that we know. This is made just made this problem 5 minus -2, which may look a little confusing. We may get to this and be like, what am I supposed to do here? And just made it 5 plus 2. Easy. Finger math, right? 5, 6, 7. So now we got 7. We got the same answer doing this method. I'm going to run through a couple more problems just to get a little more practice with this strategy. But I think this is the best strategy to use when we're subtracting integers, and I would highly recommend doing this when you see a subtracting integer question. All right. Okay. So let's practice the keep, add, opposite once more. So this time I'm going to, we'll do -5 first. We'll do it with a negative number first, right? Minus 5. We'll do -5 minus 5, right? So with our strategy, go ahead and label first, right? When you see subtraction problem, go ahead and put KAO where they need to go, right? That should be our first step. Keep, add, opposite, right? That's the first step I'm going to do. So now I'm going to rewrite my problem. I'll rewrite it in red this time. Okay, so I'm going to keep the -5, change my subtraction to addition, and do the opposite. So right now, what do we have? Is this a +5 or a -5, right? Do not look, right? This is a subtraction sign. We already changed that to a plus. So just look at the number. There's no negative attached to it. We're going to do the opposite of +5, which would be -5, right? And if we go back to our practice where open circle, again, you could just do whatever works best for you. Is a positive, and a colored in circle is a negative, right? I'm going to use this strategy to do my addition problem now. So I got -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all colored in, represent -5. We're adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? When adding integers, we need to find our 0 pairs first, all right? We don't have any positives, so we can't make any 0 pairs. So just count them up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're colored in, so that will give us a negative answer, -10. Okay? So it is very, very crucial that we know how to add integers before we subtract, because what we are doing is now we're changing our subtraction problems into addition. So we're going to use, this kind of stacks on the last unit, because if you don't know how to add the integers, we're not going to be able to subtract, because what are we doing? We're changing subtraction to addition to make this easier for us. Okay, so let's try maybe one more problem. All right, so let's start with this problem now. We got negative 12 minus negative 10. Lots of negatives and subtraction here. So let's go ahead, first step, right? Keep, add, opposite. Let's go ahead and label. Okay, first step, when you see that subtraction sign, you need to do this, all right? So we're going to go ahead and put the keep, add, opposite, right? So let's go ahead and rewrite our problem now. So we keep the negative 12. Negative 12 is here. Change our subtraction to what? Addition. And now we need to do the opposite. Right now, we got a negative, right? It's in parentheses and we have that negative sign attached to the 10. So that's a negative 10. What's the opposite of negative 10? Positive 10. So now our problem that we're working with is an adding problem, and it's negative 12 plus 10. All right, let's go ahead. If we can't kind of do this in our head, let's go ahead and draw our model, right? That's the best advice I could give you. That's how I'm going to solve this. So we got negative 12. Let's draw 12 circles colored in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 11, and 12. So this represents a negative 12. We're adding, right? And then plus 10. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now we got 12 negatives, 10 positives. What's the next step to do when we got, right, we don't got the same colors. Not all of them are colored in. Not all of them are open circles. So what do? We make our zero pairs. Let's start canceling some out. So take one out here, one positive, one negative. Boom. Let's keep doing it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we have no more positives left. We only got these colored in circles, only got our negatives. So we count them. We got 1, 2. They're colored in, which means they're negatives. So our answer is now negative 2. Okay? Advice that I would give is no one is too good to draw out models, right? I'm drawing out models on the board because this is what works best for me when dealing with negative and positive numbers, okay? So do not be afraid to do this on your desk whenever you get a practice or a test or a quiz. Do not be afraid or feel ashamed for drawing these models out because it helps you get a better understanding, because guess what? It's helping you get the correct answer, right? It's better to draw your model than do this in your head and get it incorrect. All right, for this last example I'm going to do, I'm going to actually contradict what I just said in that last clip, right? All right, so what if we kind of have these big numbers, negative 40 plus, or negative 40 minus negative 15. Let's get into it and I'll explain a little more why I contradicted myself. So let's go ahead and use our strategy. What is our strategy? Keep, add, opposite. So what are we going to do? We're going to label first. First thing, before I get into anything, I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm going to keep, add, opposite, right? Okay, so let's rewrite our problem. Right, we're going to keep negative 40. All right, we're changing our subtraction to addition. And opposite of negative 15 would be positive 15. So we're now going to do negative 40 plus positive 15. So now, right, I just said no one's too good to draw out the models, right? So we're going to use a different strategy because I don't feel like drawing 40 negatives and 15 positives, right? I don't know if I'll even have enough room. So how do we do that? We go back into our adding integer lesson and we break this down, okay? So let's break this down. We'll do it right here. So negative 40. All right, think about it. How many zero pairs are we going to have? Right, we have 15 positives. 40 is our bigger number, so we're going to need to make 15 zero pairs. So I'm going to write negative 15 because that's how many zero pairs I'm going to need to get this 15 to go away and get our answer. So what plus 15 can get us 40? right, it will be 25, right? So we're splitting our negative 40 up into negative 15 and negative 25. If you combine those together, it makes negative 40. So now I have this negative 15, right, to make our zero pair with our positive 15, and what's left over? Our negative 25. So that would be our answer to negative 40 plus positive 15. Our answer would be negative 25. So again, this is the strategy where we split the two numbers, or we split the number into two numbers, one with the other part, the counterpart for our zero pair, and one what's left over, right? This is a strategy we're going to use for bigger numbers. Again, if you have enough room, like you have your scratch piece of paper, you can go ahead. If this is too confusing for us, go ahead and draw 40 negatives, 15 positives. But the thing that messes people up the most on this lesson is not crossing out the same amount, right? So if you have 15 positives, or you know you're going to need to make 15 zero pairs, make sure you're subtracting or crossing out 15 on both sides. Make sure you don't go too fast and maybe cross all the positives off and accidentally cross maybe 14 off of the negatives. So yep, so this is going to be the end of the subtracting integer lesson. Alright, so that will wrap up this video or this lesson on subtracting integers. I hope this video really helped. I hope you now know how to subtract integers by either adding zero pairs, right? Because adding those zero pairs, adding a positive and a negative, does not change the value of a number, because what are you doing? You're adding zero. So I hope that strategy helped. I hope the keep, add, opposite strategy helped as well. That's the one that I would recommend because it's always going to work. You can always do it. And adding is easier than subtracting, in my opinion. So I hope using those strategy helped you get a better knowledge. We kind of understand if we get a subtracting integer question, we know exactly what to do. It doesn't frazzle us because we see all these negatives and subtraction. So I hope it helped. If there's something I didn't really go over, need more clarification on, maybe you have questions that I didn't answer in this video, please leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as possible, right? Because I really want to make sure we got this down for Unit 1. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, y'all.